everybody. This is Star with H&S Designs, and I hope you're doing very well today. I am finally had the time to get some wiring done, and I just got through making this one. We're going to try to recreate that with this skull right here. I tried to keep the wrapping fairly simple, fairly easy. It's a method that's very similar to how Oksana crafts. Does a lot of her stones. But instead of using square wire like she does, I have opted to use round wire for the base wire, and round wire for this wrapping wire. We're not going to need much of it. So you could use square and half round wire for this if you want to. And you can see, I've got several of these made. I just decided I wanted to go ahead and do my alcohol ink skulls here. And we are going to be using, I used 4 pieces of this 18 gauge natural copper colored non-tarnished wire from Parawire. Okay, they are 13 inches in length in total, all 4 of them. We're going to use a little bit of the 26 gauge natural copper colored. Again, you could substitute that for square wire and half round wire. If you were to use half round wire, I would suggest, though, if you're going to use an 18 gauge square wire, probably use either an 18 gauge half round, maybe a 20 gauge half round, something like that. But this is what I have on hand. And this is what I wanted to use. And I wanted to purposefully try to use round wire for this to do something different. This part right here is a bit much. I'm not entirely sold on it, but I wanted to do something that was a little bit decorative, but not too much. I didn't want the men out there to be going, well, it's too girly. So I kept it fairly simple. This is the back of it, So you can always just omit these or just kind of wrap them around here like I did with that or something. And, of course, your selection of pliers, of course, your cutters. Pretty much the only reason why I had used the nylon jaws was just to straighten my wires out. So you don't absolutely have to have those. But I did find my flat nose to be very helpful. I did use my bent nose pliers, and I personally used these bell making pliers for the bail on this one. But you don't have to have belt making pliers if you don't have them. You do want to have some kind of pliers that has a thinner tip like these. For that one, I did use this pair, but these are round nose. That was the only problem, is they kept slipping because they're round nose. And I've got some Giron tweezer nosed pliers, and I can't wait till I get them. So I'm probably going to end up using these for this one instead of the round nose like I did with that one. So if you want to work along with me, go ahead and get your wire, whatever color or size of wherever you want to go ahead and get. I found that, as you can see, 13 inches was plenty. Okay, so you probably want to get 13 inches. 12 might work. 10 might work, but I wouldn't go any lower than 10. So if you want to go ahead and pause the video to get your wire ready, go ahead and do that right now. Okay, you good? All right, so I'm going to move my pliers kind of out of the way a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of keep that like over here, and I'm going to move that out of the way. I'm just going to put that right up here. So on this piece, and of course these are resin. You've seen these if you've watched my videos. Excuse me. If you watch my videos, you've seen that I have a mold, and it's actually an ice mold. But of course I poured resin in there, and I made my own skulls. And, I wanted to make some skull pieces. So even though it's not Halloween, it doesn't have to be Halloween, it's whatever. Now, I do like to have my wire straight. You can see it's pretty well straight. Now, when I did this one, I just worked off the spool because I wasn't sure how much wire I was going to need. For this bottom section, you really don't need that much. You see how much I've got right there. What, maybe 5 inches at most, something like that. Just going to cut. Should be more than enough. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky part. Whoops, and I hit my camera. I'm sorry. It's going to be a little bit tricky. It was tricky on this one. Getting the wires to stay flat, to stay next to each other, and not move. That's a bit of a tricky part, because especially as you wrap, these do that right there. And you don't want that. You want them to completely stay flat. So, one small trick that you can do, if you have some of those little tiny 3/4 inch spring clamps, and I'll get one out. These little tiny spring clamps, you can see about the size of them in comparison. These will work perfectly to hold the wires next to each other, if you so want to do that. Now, you can probably also use tape. I have personally not had a very good experience with getting tape to properly hold round wire, so I just opt for the spring clamp because it just seems to do better to me. So you do what you wish, what you want, and you're not wrong, okay? Don't think that you're wrong just because you do things differently than I do or anybody else. So I'm just speeding my wires through my clamp to hold my wires straight. So that's going to be about roughly where my wire is going to be. So I try to get it about in the center, and I think that it is. It sure does seem like it. And now you're going to take your wrapping wire, which, like I said, in my case, this is a 26 gauge. Honestly, if I had a 24 gauge, I would probably use it for this part, but I don't have a 24 gauge in natural copper. So, just going to take it, and of course, you want to hold your wire down, and then you just want to wrap all of them as many times as you choose. On this one, I ended up wrapping 12 times. I don't think I'm going to do quite that many on this one. With using round wire and round wire, consider all we're doing is coiling around all 4 wires. You want to make sure you get this really good and tight, because it will slip around and it will not hold very well. Not as well as a half round wire would on a square wire. Okay, so I've got 4 wraps right there. I'm just going to kind of pull it out a little bit. This is where I love these flat nose pliers, because I can come in here and I can flatten that wire down about as good as you can do. It's not going to be perfect, but it's going to help. So that was 6, 7. I'm just going to do 10, 8, 9, 10, and I'm going to do that one, and that's it. Flatten that down. I'm going to squish them together really good. Now, something you can do now is I'm going to make sure that I do have 10 wraps here, because when I did this one, I could have swore I had 10. I actually counted 13, so I had to cut one off. So not counting this, and then we're actually going to count on this side, because this side is going to be the side that's going to be facing out, so it's going to be this side. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4. What happened to the wire right there? Oh my goodness gracious. Seriously, what happened to the wire? Okay, sorry. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, gonna just undo that right there. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Just get that looking good. And you know what? It's going to be on the bottom. I don't think anybody's going to really notice that too much. At least I hope and I pray that no one notices. So I'm just getting my wires good and tight and as best as I can. So I'm also going to lift this one up. I'm going to get my clippers and I'm just going to clip that down. No differently than you would a half round wire. Again. Okay. Okay. And flatten that down. Alright. And you're good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pull these out a little bit to keep the wire nice and flat and next to each other. Move my stuff out of the way. And now what I want to do is I want to put my little skull man right here, right sitting smack dab as much as possible on where I just wrapped, okay? And then, where do you want it to bend? How do you want it to bend? Do you want it to be a nice sharp bend? Or would you rather have it to be a flowy, rounded bend? I want it to be a little bit on the sharp side, personally. You can do whichever one you want. And you want to make sure you kind of get him sitting on the wire how you want it as well. Ooh, so if you want him closer to the chin, you can put him closer to the chin. Which this may be easier if you set it down like this. I don't do that because I'm just so used to holding everything. So I'm going to place my pliers here. And I'm going to do a nice little bend. Okay, and of course that's not going to be enough, but it's going to be enough to get it started. I'm just going to pull these up. Alright, so good to go now. Okay, so now we're going to take a little bit more of our wire. I'm just going to take this little bitty tail that I just cut off of this. And you see this moves around. Like I said, it does move a lot. And I'm just going to, let's see, it needs to be on the inside. So I'm actually going to do like this right here. And for this, I think I only did 6 times on that one. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and don't overlap because I almost did just then. Tighten them up, flatten them down really good. Tighten, flatten. And I'm also going to kind of pull them the opposite a little bit too. And alright. And again, because it's round wire, you know, these want to kind of shift and make it go funny and so you kind of have to watch that. I'm clipping my ends off, so I'm 100% done with that piece of wire. So you see, that wasn't much waste on that one. That was good. Which I really didn't have that much waste on that one either. But I had a little bit, but probably not much more than that. So I'm just coming in. I'm just trying to get my wires flat and even. Looks good. Alright. So now another spare piece of wire. Okay. And I'm just going to come in right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this one makes 6. Pull it on around. That's done. Okay. Flatten it nice and pretty. Yes, I'm from the South, so I say pretty. Flatten it really good. Okay. Alright, and just lift gently, clip, and clip. And again, not much waste. Wonderfully awesomeness. Yes, I'm corny and I'm nerdy. And let's see. See, it did it to me earlier on the other piece. It didn't want to lay flat. He wanted to be a booty hole. Alright, so I guess that's going to be good enough, because that side is actually in towards man's face. Me man. Me skull man. Nah, I don't know. Ignore me. I'm just being nerdy. And it's late at night too, so I'm kind of beginning to get tired just a little bit. So I'm going to set this back in here. Back on man. So now you want to think, how much room do you want between the top of his head and where your wires come together? Okay, you could have it open and have it way up here. You can have it all the way on top of his head, or you can have it like me and have it up a little bit. So I think with this one, I'm going to have to pick him up. With this guy, I'm going to end up having him just a little bit higher. About right there. And actually, that might be about the same spot as I had him before. Lord of mercy. So, let's see how that is. Yeah, it's not much different from before. That's okay. I want to try to get it lined up a little bit more. Pretty well. And I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, so there is the beginning of our skull wrap. Isn't that neat? Alrighty, okay. And I am having to hold him on there. And then that happens. Yeah. Makes me look real professional, doesn't it? Anyway, so... Oh, it'll hold it loose like that. Yeah. Anyway. Let's see. Now, I'm going to get a little bit more of the wrapping wire. Now, one thing you could do is, you see that the bail right here, I just left completely plain. All I did was wrap all of my wires together, as you can right here see. Okay, I wrapped them all together just so they were held together and stabilized. And that's all I wanted to do. I wanted to keep it simple and basic. But you can do some type of a wrapping on the bail. Again, with this one, I am going to keep it plain and simple. So I'm not going to get off a lot of wire. I think I'm just going to probably get, yeah, about that much. Because you got to think it's going to be more wires, technically. Even though it's the wire ends, it's technically the wire. Okay, so you want to place him kind of back on here. You want to make sure, definitely make sure where you want the wires to come together before you definitely wrap them up. So I do need to come in this way a little bit more. Alright, so there's where I want it. I'm going to hold it as best as I can together. And I'm just going to hold that wire. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then I'm going to take that wire in and I'm going to feed it through just like that, and I'm going to clip it off. I'm going to take these little bitty petite bent nose and I'm going to feed it through as best as humanly possible, and I'm hoping I am keeping on camera because I am not looking at it. Let's see. Alright, and feed that in. Okay, now I'm going to kind of just squish gently, just a little bit. Okay, so now that is 10 wraps, and while those 10 wraps are going to be more than enough, I should be able to, yes, I have all this right here. So if you did like I did just then, you can keep wrapping with this if you want to. If not, you ain't gotta. I am just going to feed it through like I did the other end. And stop about right there. I'm going to clip it down, clip it down, clip it off. And hope that I left enough. Perfect. and I'm just flattening these down pretty good. That's all. Okay. So now, woo, and he still pops out. Really? Okay, so now at this point, before I do anything else, I do want to try to stabilize him. Before I do the bail or any kind of actual decoration. So I'm just going to kind of pop that wire up. I'm going to pop that wire up and pop him back in. Alright, so this is kind of a tricky part because you got to hold him and you got to move the wires at the same time. So with this, I'm just right there, just like that. Again, about the same portion. And but see, this side has a little bit of an edge. There we go. It's good enough, you know. Ooh. Yeah, that's pretty good. That looks even. Don't you think? Yeah, I don't know. So I'm going to also pop up this front and this front. And I'm going to push that in. I'm going to push that into his cheekbone. And I'm actually going to have to use, ooh, excuse me, arm itched. Different pair of pliers to get that nice and tight on his chin, on his cheek. And now he is in there. He's not moving. He's not coming out. And which I'm seeing now, that just got crooked. And it's kind of too late. But I got it adjusted a little bit. There we go. Okay. That looks even to me. Does it look even to you? I don't know. Anyway, so now you can decide what you want to do with the wires at the top. So you can see I had a little bit extra on this side than I did on that side, but that's okay. So with this one, you can see the front two wires I just kind of used for a little bit of decoration, just coming forward and wrapping. I used the second two wires to come down, and I wanted to have kind of an invisible bail to a degree. And then of course the last two on either side just come down like this. So I'm not, on this one, I am not going to do this type right here. I may do something else, but I'm not going to do this right here. I still may just go back and change this one. I'm not sure. But on this one, I do believe I am going to separate the two frontmost wires. Again, I am going to use the second wires on either side. And I'm going to separate the last two wires for decoration. So at this point, if you left your wire uncut, so instead of feeding it through, if you left it uncut and you left it on the spool, especially if you want to do a decoration, here's your chance to do a decoration. I am not going to. I am just going to bend it around, and I'm going to use my bell making pliers just because I want to. Artist discretion, you know what I mean. And I think actually with this, I'm going to feed it through. I'm going to do something that's a little differently than I did on the other one. The other one, as you see, I just let him come down and then I wrapped around both sides, and I'm not going to do that with this one. With this one, this one needs to go on the other side of that wire. There we go. Alright. Come through. And it messed up the wire. It's okay. Get a hold of them good. Alright. Right there. And I actually need to get this wire over here. Okay. And I'm just using these bell making pliers just kind of round out this wire where it got a little bit bent out of shape. You know. I'm just trying to get them side by side a little bit. That's all. Side by side as much as possible, at least. Alright. And I'm just noticing that. Okay. All right, so that's a pretty good little bail. It's not too big, not too small. And I'm kind of liking how it looks. So I'm just going to take this wire and I'm going to wrap it. Take this wire and I'm going to wrap it. And I think I'm going to go right back through here and feed it on through. Oh, but I'm seeing it's doing that. That's what I hate. Oh. I hate that. It did it to me earlier in the other one. Alright, so kind of loosen that up just a little bit. And now I'm going to attempt. Here we go. Here we go. That's what I was wanting. Except I need to move that. There we go. And again, you're on the wrong side. Whoops. Alright. So I'm sure that as we move this one, it'll probably do the same thing. Just getting that wire fairly straight, fairly flat, instead of having that bend in it. Move that up just like the other one is. Feed it through. All right. All right, so bail is about the same size. It's not that bad. It's about even. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead right here, right now, and I'm going to clip my wire, and I'm actually going to bend it down about right there. Bend it down about right there. Okay. So now this, let's see, this actually may be slightly easier with round nose pliers because I want to round that wire down so that it can kind of get tucked away and hide. Same thing for this one. Tucking is not very good with round nose pliers though. Alright, and that's pretty good. I like that. I like that. Kind of got my wire right there a little bit, but that's okay. And here, what do you want to do? You can do anything, just about. Before I get too far, though, I am going to do a little bit more stabilizing. I'm going to pull this wire out. I'm going to pull this last wire out, if it'll go. So I'm just going to pull right there. And let's see if I can get a hold of it. Yes, I can. Yay. Okay, so that keeps him stable on the back. Okay. And I'm just pushing the wires close to him as possible. And I'm going to do, whoop, and there I go again. And I'm just grabbing that wire. And I'm just kind of pulling it in. There we go. He's not going anywhere now. And I see him still uneven. I'm not going to worry about it. Because that's one thing that I never do worry about, is if I end up getting something uneven, if it's not always in a straight line, personally, I don't worry about it. There's just too much, you know, it's too hard. It's honestly kind of too hard to get things perfectly straight and even all the time. So I don't worry about it. And I'm hoping that my customers are okay with that. And I'm hoping you guys are okay with it. Because hopefully if you're watching this video, or if you're watching any of my wire videos, you know well enough what you're doing. Okay. If not, I can honestly say that please check out the handful of wire artists, and you see where I just pulled it through right here like this, that have tons of beginner friendly videos. Please do not, I have a few sort of beginner friendly videos, but nowhere near, just saying. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to cut this wire right there. It's not invisible, but you can't get to it. And then this one, so I'm going to pull this up. Going through here. But anyway, with the wire artists that have videos for beginner friendly, there is Oksana Crafts, there's Yvonne Williams, there's Lily Tree. She's really good for doing a lot of oxidizing too, though. I mean, all kinds of people, ones I can't even think of right now. That's done. Yeah, I'm going to trim it just a tiny bit more, though. There we go. Yep, that's out of the way. All right. But yeah, research them, please. Matter of fact, if you go to my main channel on your computer, to the right side of the screen will be a list of all different channels that have to do with wire wrapping, with resin work, all kinds of stuff like that. So utilize that resource. So with this, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do like what Oksana Crafts does. Something like that, yeah. Something like that, I don't know. But what do I want to do? Because I do like that. It still keeps it simple, but yet it gives a nice look. I like that. But do I want to just wrap it here and leave it? And I think I will. I think I will. And I'm going to cut right there. And again, I'm going to use my round nose pliers. Just so that way I kind of make a hook, so to speak. And then I can come in with my other ones and kind of tighten it down. And you can't even see it. Okay. So now you can take this one and you can do the same thing on that side, or you can kind of continue over. I think I'm going to be yet opposite with this one. So it's not going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be similar enough that you'll be able to tell. See, it's not quite the same, but it's close enough. To me, it's good. And I'm just going to cut that right there. Round nose pliers. Whoop, I only grabbed one of them. It's okay. And tighten those down, if they will. All right, yep. And there you go. There's you a finished, there's you a finished skull resin pendant. I am favoring this one a lot more than I am this one, I admit. It's just it's it's not as big. So I'm definitely going to go back and I'm going to go edit this one. But yeah, I do like it a lot more. Looks much nicer, much cleaner. I think men would really enjoy this just as much as a woman may. Very clean back. Looks really good. Clean front. I'm liking it. I like it a lot. So, if you enjoyed this video, please like, leave me a comment if you got something to say, whether it's good or bad, or suggestions for future videos. Share if you like it a lot. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and hit that bell notification icon so that when I upload new videos, you'll know about it. And other than that, I think that's going to be it for today. You know, stay tuned for more at some point. You guys have a great evening. I love you, and we'll see you later. Bye-bye. Yeah.